Welcome to Beyond the Clinic, the podcast for health professionals ready to transform their expertise into innovative income streams that extend beyond the traditional clinic model. I'm Sarah Armand-Bushell. I'm a registered dietitian and certified business coach and proud owner of 2 successful online businesses. I understand the leap from the security of a regular salary can feel intimidating because I've been there too. But it doesn't have to be scary, and you do not have to do this alone. Here you'll learn tangible strategies to accelerate your business growth. So if you're dreaming of using your expertise to create impact and a life of freedom, then you're in the right place. Welcome along, everybody. I am really excited about today's episode because I'm interviewing a colleague of mine, Emma Donnelly. So Emma is a social media marketing specialist. She's the founder of Ask Emma Social, which is a social media marketing agency. And she's dedicated to helping busy mums in business grow online without sacrificing precious family time. So through done-for-you strategies and content, Emma and her team take the overwhelm out of social media so that clients can focus more on what matters most. So welcome, Emma. Is that an okay introduction for you?
Thank you so much. That's a lovely introduction, and it really does cover exactly what we do here. So yeah, thank you so much for that. That's really great.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So let's kick off by talking about what is a social media marketing specialist?
Yeah, sure. So social media marketing is basically the way that you communicate your brand and your services through social media platforms. And what we do is we work with clients who all at different industries. So we're not specific to a certain industry in particular, but we tend to find that our clients tend to be busy mums in business who have lots of things juggling on their plate. So they're looking for ways that they can reach a wider audience. They're looking for ways that they can show their brand awareness to people so that more people know about what it is that their business does and how they can help. And reaching a wider audience, basically. So obviously social media encompasses a worldwide audience of people. So a lot of offline businesses, particularly, benefiting from having social media marketing specialists working with them because we can then help them to reach a wider audience, connect with more people. Bigger than that, I feel like it's also about building that community around your brand. So you've got people that actually recognize you and your business for what you do, the values, the mission that you have, and all of that gets expressed through your social media marketing. So it's not just about the selling side of things, which I think sometimes is a quite often misconception around social media marketing. People feel that they have to go on social media and sell all the time. Actually, there's different elements towards social media marketing that also mean that you are subtly selling, but in a way that is not in people's faces, if you like.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. And I think one of the things that a lot of my colleagues feel is that social media is almost like it's something that they don't necessarily like. It's something that they might feel a bit uncomfortable with, particularly being healthcare professionals and knowing what to post and what they shouldn't be posting. And it can actually feel a little bit like chore on your to-do list that often doesn't get done. So I would love to know from those of us who are running our own businesses, and most of my colleagues and my clients and friends are solopreneurs, we do it all on our own. How do you know when you're ready to work with a social media marketing specialist?
That's a really great question, to be honest with you. And it's something that I think a lot of people think that they need, but they're not yet quite at that level where they can actually invest in it. Actually, when you sit down and think about how much time you are spending on your social media, because it's not just a case of just a quick post, whip one up and then post it. You've also got to think about the consistency of having that going out maybe 3, 4, 5 times a week. Then you've got to think of the video that you're going to accompany it with. Is that going to need subtitles to it? The caption that you're going to write, has it been optimized for search engine optimization or SEO? All of these different factors play a massive part in how much reach your post gets and how far it gets. So, a lot of people, I think social media is quite an easy thing to do, which it is, and anyone can do social media, but it's whether someone can actually do it well. And if you feel that you're at the point where, your social media is maybe being done, but it's not being done as well as you feel like it could be, and there's definitely ways that you can be doing it better, that's probably the point when I would say that you're best looking in speaking to an expert, because you'll already have the content, you'll already have everything that you want to get across on your social media, but you're just maybe not getting the crux of the little features that make it a different type of post. And that's where the expertise of having a social media marketing specialist can make it into an amazing post, that one that will land better. So, and also if your DMs are overflowing, which is a common theme that comes through when I go on to discovery calls with clients that are interested in working with us, and I asked them what their challenges are at the moment, like what is it that they're struggling with on the social media aspect side of things. And it is just that whole keeping up with responding back to people in DMs. And it's not necessarily sales inquiries, it's generally just community building and your customer care levels, which rightly so businesses care about, because that's what makes us different as small business owners, is because we are unique, humanized, personalized, and we're not like those big corporate brands where it's not always as personal, and we make it personal. That's one of our strengths as small business owners, is that people rely on us to communicate with them. So if you're finding that your DMs are getting to a point where it is just becoming unmanageable, that's another aspect where we can step in and help with not just the DMs, but also the engagement. So a huge part of, again, your social media marketing is not only just putting posts out there, but communicating with the community that you've got via comments and watching stories and interacting with your community so that they can see your posts more. That's how the algorithms all work. You've got to show and establish that relationship between yourselves. So just posting alone isn't enough anymore. It might have worked maybe pre-2022, but now it's all about showing the platform and the algorithms that you're active, that you're commenting, that you're communicating with people. And then when people see your brand, then they obviously go and have a little look at what you're doing as well on your page, and vice versa. So it all kind of is a recipe, if you like. You've got to get all the ingredients together to make it work. And it is a lot to ask for a solopreneur to have all of that going on all at once, absolutely why we step in and do that. That's why I set up this business, because I recognized that this was something that people were really struggling with. And, it's something that we can step in and provide that support with. So yeah, really, really love helping people with that particular challenge.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think what you said just at the start there, that actually it's not an afterthought. It's not a quick post. It's not something that you can just quickly put up there. Actually, there's a lot more strategy behind social media, isn't there? And that's what I help people with, the strategy behind it. So actually, I'd love your take on whether you think, well, I think I know the answer to this, but so why is social media important in business as a solopreneur, as somebody who perhaps is like a dietitian like me, who maybe has a online clinic or sells a group program or something like that? Why is social media important?
Yeah, it's massively important. I mean, it's the way that you can express yourself online as well. I feel like every company and brand, even if you're doing the same thing as maybe, hundreds of other people in the same industry as you, not every person in that industry is you. And not every person in that industry has the same mission as you, the same values, or the same audience. So, all of that allows you to then be authentic as yourself. I know that's a bit of an overused word now, but it is still something that you should strive to always be genuine and authentic in what you do online, so people can then relate to you more. Because if you try and live up to a standard of someone else and copy someone else's way of doing things, and it doesn't come naturally to you, it's just going to show really obviously to your audience, and it will have a disconnect then with the engagement that you get, because your audience can tell, like they can feel that energy and can feel that it's not genuine. So I feel that when you are genuinely yourself, showing up with your mission, your values, you're able to reach such a wide audience of people, but you can also hone in on the specific ideal clients that you want to work with. So rather than having to post out to everyone in the whole world and make it really sort of vague messaging, you can really hone in on the type of people that you want to work with, by making your messaging on point with exactly what they need the support with. So it's just making that connection, building that community of people around you, that are interested in what you do, but also share it with other people. Because I think one of the things people miss as well on social media is that, you know, you might get a period of time in your business where for 6 months you're getting really low engagement. You feel like, why is this not working for me? No one's seen my stuff. I'm not getting any inquiries in. But then in 6 months' time, you'll get a message from someone who'll say, my friend said I should follow you, and I've just seen your post about this, and actually I really need to order that, or I really need to book in for you, your service about this. And, it'll completely come out of the blue. And you think to yourself, do you know what? I'm glad I still carried on pushing through those 6 months when I felt like nothing was working, because actually things are working in the background. The problem is, as a business owner, you can't actually see that conversation happening. So although you may not get like, high engagement on your posts, don't take that as a kind of, oh, well, it's not working. It's, there's no point me doing it. I'm not getting the leads through, because I feel like that's sometimes what people get to a certain level with, and they think, I might as well just give up because it's not working. But what they're not seeing is what's going on in the background. And like I say, that makes all the difference. And that's why your brand awareness matters, because if you weren't posting, then that person wouldn't have, passed on that recommendation to the other person who's then contacted you, because they've not seen you posting for a while.
Yeah. And I've experienced that in both of my businesses. So in my nutrition business, my Instagram account in particular, and also Facebook, I used to do quite well on Facebook. Actually closed my Facebook group. But one of the things I found with there is that when I was much more broad and generic, I got lots of engagement, lots of followers, had lots of things to talk about, but it was really hard to sell. Now that I've really honed in on exactly who it is that I want to target, I get much fewer followers, engagement, that sort of thing, but they're coming by from me. So it definitely has an impact, although you can't see it. There's nothing obvious from the outside. And then in this business, so my follower count in this business is tiny. I think it's like 1,000 and something. But I'm fully booked. And I think, again, it doesn't really correlate with how the business is doing, does it, from what you can see from the outside? But for me, I know that it really helps with, like you say, the brand awareness, the nurturing, the connecting with people, the making people feel seen, heard, and understood from the type of content that's going out there. And so when they are at the stage of wanting to work with me, they do. They reach out, they book discovery calls, they buy things. So yeah, it's interesting because you can't directly say, yes, it's because of that post that this happened. But I think if I stopped, I'd be fearful that my business wouldn't grow. Uh, Um,
Yeah.
um, let's talk about going viral. So I know we had a little conversation about going viral before we started recording. A lot of influencers, or even, people who teach Instagram, for example, talk about finding the thing to go viral, which is something that I don't think that we need. What's your take on that?
I am absolutely with you on that. I feel like when people focus on chasing virality, it takes away the value of actually what it is that you can do for people, because you are just chasing a particular goal that is very hit and miss. By all means experiment with your content and try new things. I'm not saying that, you have to keep on a set path of what you're doing every time you post. Going viral is one of those things that you have no control over. You either do a post and it goes viral, or you do a post and it doesn't. And if your sort of aim is just to go viral, it's not really going to give you any end results, because what happens when a post goes viral is it brings in a massive audience of people that are following you and connecting with you, not for the purpose of why you're actually doing your social media marketing. So what you tend to find with viral posts is that, there'll be an element of it that is not really linked to your business. So for example, it might be a video with your dog in it or whatever, and then you suddenly get an influx of people that are dog fans, but actually that's got absolutely nothing to do with what you do for your business. So you've built, and you might think to yourself, oh, that looks great, I've got this massive audience, I've got all these followers now, and they're not actually the right type of followers. So unfortunately, that's going to just end up being that you've got an audience of people that will never buy from you off a viral post, and that's all you've kind of gained from it. And yeah, it's a little bit of an ego boost. It's not, let's be honest about it. When you see it go up, the views are going up, and all the notifications are going up, yes, it is an ego boost, and yes, it is really nice in the moment, but as a long-term strategy, that post in a year's time is not going to do anything for your business. So I would always
Yeah.
say, for me, building a community and connecting with the right audience and the right type of clients that you want to work with. So who it is you want to serve, the type of person that you know that you can support and help with your business. Those people, although they might not engage on all your posts and they may not, communicate with you daily, if they're actually following your account and seeing your content, it's those touch points that they're getting. So every time you post, every time you watch their stories, every time you maybe pop them a message and see how they're doing, that's all different touch points that people are getting from building an awareness of your brand, which is then going to help them along the buying journey. Because the problem you've got as a business owner is you've got people at all different levels of the buying process. So you've got someone who will just come across you that doesn't even realize that they need a social media manager at this point. They just want, tips and advice because they're just starting out in the business and they need some ideas and they're looking for some inspiration. And then you've got other people that are actively searching for support. They've got the money to invest and they're just looking for the right person. You've got all these different buying sort of processes and people at different stages. So for me, the focus, rather than going viral, is thinking about how you can address in your content all of these different buying stages for people that are going to be entry level, if you like, all the way up to ready to buy and just looking for the right, connection with that person, whether it's something that's, a personal connection. Maybe you've wrote a personal story that relates to them and their lives as well, or whether it's something that is more linked to your mission and your values of your business and, they feel aligned to that. So it's all these different elements that come into it. But for me, I would focus more on that and getting the messaging right for that, because that's, like you said rightly before, that's going to bring you the sales in, regardless of the engagement, regardless of the virality and the views and all that kind of thing. Your metrics don't pay your bills. So unfortunately, as a business owner, you do have to think about what actually is going to make me money. And which is actually going to, bring in the right type of client that I want to work with, that I'm aligned with, as opposed to what's going to look good on paper.
Absolutely. And I've had clients before who have experienced a viral post and exactly that. Lots of new followers, never going to buy because they weren't their ideal client. And what's been worse is because they've suddenly got this audience and they carry on putting out posts that are relevant to their niche and, nurturing people. The algorithms are going, okay, well, you've got this massive audience, you're putting out this content, no one's resonating with it. So actually your account is not good. And so it's actually negatively affected their reach, their views on reels and things like that, because of this viral post that they've had. So it's actually been damaging for them. So yeah, I agree with you entirely there that chasing virality is not the way to go if you want to grow a business.
Definitely not.
No. So I would love to know, actually, is it just Instagram that you focus on, or do you work on across the different platforms?
So we focus on three. We do Instagram is our primary one, and we also do Facebook, and we also do LinkedIn. We don't do TikTok at the moment, unfortunately. So I'd refer you to a TikTok specialist for that. But yeah, we do also now do YouTube. So I've got a lady on the team who's a YouTube expert, and she's built and grown and monetized her own YouTube channel. So she now trains and supports other business owners to do the same. So that's something we recently started doing this year, and that supports clients that are basically wanting to have a presence on YouTube. Because what we are finding, especially this year in 2025, is that obviously video content is very much the go-to thing that people are looking to watch at the moment online. And obviously YouTube is a video format platform. So I find it's helpful for those types of people, and it might help your health professional audience as well. And for people that want to explain things from like a desktop view, because I find that's quite difficult to explain if you're doing like a demonstration of some sort or a webinar where you were, using diagrams, etc., to showcase a point or something like that. On a reel, that can be quite difficult due to the dimensions and the size of the screen. It can be quite difficult to get across what you're trying to say without it sort of looking really small across the middle of the screen. So YouTube, I think, is kind of like the educational side of it, which I feel like a lot of your health professional audience will benefit from, because obviously you're in that space of educating and helping people. So yeah, I think that would be a good thing to think about moving forward. If maybe social media and Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn is not something you want to do, think about maybe doing it on YouTube, and that way then you've got an alternative platform to consider. And because that's not going anywhere, it's growing exponentially, and actually a lot of business owners aren't utilizing YouTube for what it is. With the Google optimization, the SEO optimization now, there is so many ways that you could be found on YouTube, which is kind of like a little bit of an underrated platform that not a lot of business owners do use, because obviously people tend to go for the main three, the big three, like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Then you've also got TikTok. You've also got the new version of Twitter, which is like, you've got Threads, which is like Instagram's version, and you've got Blue Sky. There's tons of different platforms. Don't get too overwhelmed with, obviously, trying to be everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
I think you can kind of get into a rabbit hole spiral of, oh, I need to post there, I need to post there, I need to post that. And then before you know it, you've not actually posted anywhere. So for me, I think just pick 2 or 3 platforms that you want to focus on. If you're a business to business owner, LinkedIn is your place to be. If you're looking to interact with an audience, like consumer audience, then you're looking more like Instagram and Facebook for that. Facebook groups as well is still another thing that a lot of people say, people don't use anymore, but I still see a lot of success with people that have got Facebook groups, because that, again, that is that community feel. And I feel like with
Mhm.
the age of AI at the moment, people are craving that
People.
kind of community, connection, genuine, real connection with people that are aligned with them, on the same page with them. So, having that community, I actually think is still very much, valid.
Yeah, very relevant. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's interesting what you say about YouTube. So I read recently that YouTube Shorts are the fastest growing platform at the minute in 2025. And so this podcast goes onto YouTube. It was a relatively new thing that we started probably about 6 months or so ago. And at that time, I also started posting on Shorts as well. And I really noticed that the number of views that I was getting on, the full length video was massive, the more Shorts that I produced, because each short directed people to go and watch the full thing. And actually, I was telling my clients this morning in our group coaching program that I've had 2 weeks where I haven't posted shorts just because I've been so busy, I haven't got around to doing it. And I've noticed the tank. It's having that much of an impact that I've just noticed the numbers dropping right down. So I can see how it's a very powerful, fast-growing platform. And like you say, it's owned by Google, so it's not going anywhere. It's got all the SEO, there already. I think it's definitely one to take advantage of, provided, of course, your ideal client uses YouTube for whatever they're looking for. But yeah, I think it's a massively untapped potential. Yeah.
Definitely. And I think there's different ways you can use the YouTube channel as well. So, where you might have your Instagram for like your brand awareness and your community involvement and sharing what you do and your updates and all that kind of thing, you might want to use your YouTube as a kind of different strategy almost. You could have it as like an education platform where you kind of bringing people in through that route, where people want to learn more about the topic that you deliver, whatever that is, in whatever industry it is. And then you can, use it as a kind of almost like a funnel, like a lead magnet, if you like, to people getting on your email list. Because don't forget, on YouTube, you can put your email list, subscribe list, give them a freebie in the show notes underneath. So people that are watching these videos and thinking, oh, this is great, I'd love to learn more or hear more from this person, they can just tap the link and then they're straight onto your email list. So definitely worth considering if you've not already thought about it, because I know when I've had conversations in networking events and things like that this year with other business owners, just asking their opinions on YouTube and what they thought of it. And 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh, do you know what? I've never really even thought of posting on there. I thought it was just for people that had like podcasts or, had vlogs and things like that, where they've done like vlogging. And YouTube is so much more than that. And I just wanted to obviously, give people that kind of signal that if it is something that's calling you and you do like doing video content, because obviously everyone's different. Some people don't like doing video content. Some people do. If you do really well and you can speak really well on video, then YouTube might be a great opportunity for you to be able to then showcase what you do in a clear, consistent way that works for you. And I always say to
Yeah.
my clients, create content that feels good for you. So if you don't feel comfortable doing video, there are other formats and ways that you can still have an impact on social media without having to go live or without having to film a video talking to the screen. There's all different ways you can do it. It's just finding what works and what feels good for you.
Yeah. And what do you think about repurposing content across different platforms?
I definitely think it's worth doing because you've got to remember that all the time your audience is building and growing. So, you kind of get a bit in a rut sometimes thinking, oh, well, I've already posted that, so I can't post it again because everyone's going to say, oh, I've already seen this. Like, why is she posting it again? And you think in your head, like, oh, I can't repeat that. People are going to think that I've run out of content ideas, etc. And that is just so not the case because only 10% of people, based on the algorithms and how they work, will actually see the post. And I've actually tested this theory myself on my own social media because I was just interested to see whether or not people did see it. And I ran a poll in my story and I said, I've posted this 12 months ago. If you do remember seeing it, then tell me. And absolutely not one person voted on that poll to say that they'd seen it before.
Yeah.
And there was about 25 people that had voted on that poll. And I thought, well, that just kind of proves it because you've got to remember people's attention spans are so, so small at the moment. And for them to remember one piece of content that you did 12 months ago, you might remember it because you wrote the post and you put all the effort into doing it. And obviously it's very memorable for you, but for people that are watching it, they don't always see it. And I feel like you can always repurpose into different formats. So if you are that type of person who's like, absolutely don't want to repurpose it, I've already posted it. How about doing it in a different way? So how about doing it as a carousel this time rather than doing it as a single post? Or how about doing it as a video instead of a carousel? You can do different formats and different ways of the post without it being the exact same copy and paste post. Because the thing is with your messaging, it needs to be consistent and it needs to keep going and going and going. You're kind of talking one message all the time and you are going to get fed up of it because you are going to feel like you're repeating it, but you need to keep consistent with that message so people know that you're that go-to person for that thing that you talk about. And if you're talking about all different things and you're going off in all different areas, then people get a bit muddled as to what it is actually that you do. Whereas if
Yes.
you just stay consistent with what it is you do, how you help people, what it is you can serve people, then that's when people really do relate to you and go, right, she's the go-to person I need for this thing. And that makes a massive difference in your marketing generally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you there. Having like maybe 5 or 6 pieces of core messaging that you become known for because you say it often, and you'll say it differently every time you say it, probably, or you might have like certain catchphrases that you always say. And like you say, you could always, if you did it as a reel, you could always then turn it into a carousel. You can use the same stuff. But actually, in my nutrition business, because it's been going for such a long time, I know which content works. And so I will literally have a tag. I've put everything on Asana and I have a tag to say best performer. And that gets repeated. And we repeat content probably every quarter. It's exactly the same thing, the same caption, same carousel, whatever it is. We just repeat it because we know it works every time. And no one ever said, oh, I've seen that before.
Absolutely. That's the thing, isn't it? You never get someone who would say, oh, that's not new. I've seen that before.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I was going to ask you about how do you know you're doing well on social media? So analytics, goals, that sort of thing. How do you know it's working for you?
Yeah, so the analytics is something that I feel is something, again, not many people think about. They just tend to look at the metrics people look at is mainly the views and the likes and the comments. And that's really all people tend to, from a very foundational level, look at for whether something's doing well or not doing well. Or also the follower count, if the follower count's going up and how much it's increased by, or if it's decreased. So what I think people really now moving forward into like the rest of the year and also into 2026 is I feel like people need to look more closely into the insights, especially on Instagram, if you are posting on that platform for your videos, because you will be able to see on there now how long your watch time is. your watch time is going to make a huge difference going forward into whether or not your post gets more reach. Because what the platforms want is for people to be spending longer on the platform. So if people are watching your videos for longer, that means that to them that's a good piece of content because it's kept someone on the platform for longer, which means that they can then feed ads through to them based on what their likes and preferences are, etc. So it's all part of, you know, the whole game, if you like, of social media. But ultimately, if your watch time is low at the moment, one piece of advice I would give you is to have a think about your hook that you're doing at the beginning. So what I mean by a hook is just that initial 3 seconds where you've got the opportunity to capture someone's attention. You need to really capture it in that 3 seconds. If you've not captured it, they're gone. They're swiping through to the next one. So there's different ways you can use different hooks. You've got visual hooks, so you could do spinning around in your chair. So it's just that pattern interrupt. So when people are scrolling through, it's like, oh, what's this? Or you've also got your, if you're talking to camera, you can give them a particular hook. So you can say, you know, this is one thing that I wish I knew sooner in my business. So people are instantly like, oh, I wonder what she's going to say, and listen to the next part rather than just going on and saying, hi, my name is this is what I do, which again is fine. But for a hook, you need to really draw people's attention, and it doesn't have to be clickbait. It doesn't have to be made up or, you know, dramatized to make it so it's not actually true. It just needs to be enough to give people that curiosity of them watching a bit longer. And then once you get into your full point of the video, then they'll, you know, the watch time will increase. But that's really going to be a significant metric for the next year or so. So have a think about how you can get people watching your videos for longer, make it more interesting as you can. I appreciate that this is obviously more time and effort that you probably don't have, but if you're going to put time and effort into doing your marketing and you want to do it well, these are the types of things that you need to think about, not how many people are going to like this post and how many people are going to
Yes.
comment on it, you know, because that isn't going to, you can't control that. You have absolutely no control over how many people like or comment on that post, but you do have control over how much quality and effort and time you put into the video production and, you know, doing it as best to your ability as you possibly can. So yeah.
Yeah. And what's your opinion on B-roll style video versus like talking heads?
So interestingly, I've been testing this on my account. So if you want to go and have a look at my account, you can see it on there. And there's different ones. There's B-roll where I'm not in it. There's B-roll where I am in it. Ones where I'm talking to the camera. So I did want to test it just to see. And people might not want to hear this, but unfortunately the one that did well was the one that where I'm talking to the camera and people can see my face. You know, people always say, oh, let's do the B-roll because then you know, I don't have to talk to the camera and I can just be in the background and hide away, and you know, it doesn't have to be all about me. But actually human connection is always going to win over any other type of content, and that just goes to show how important social media is for, you know, building that connection with other people through the screen, because they want to see who they're going to be working with. They want to hear what you sound like. They want to understand what you're like as a person, and building that trust over, you know, a number of months, maybe even years before they actually reach out to buy from you. Because, you know, it's not always overnight success. It's not always going to happen like, you know, as soon as you post a video, someone's going to drop in and buy from you. But ultimately, you need to build that trust. And with AI and everything that's going on at the moment, that is one thing that we've got in our kind of arsenal, if you like, of things that we can use, because ultimately we are the small business owner. We are the person that they're going to be dealing with. So other brands and companies have to obviously think about ways they can personalize it and make it better for the corporate side of things. But for us as business owners, small business owners, we have a really unique opportunity to make that connection. And actually the ones that perform best for me have been the ones where I'm talking to camera and explaining
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. That's exactly what I've seen as well. And at the end of the day, you know, as business owners or solopreneurs, we are our brands, we are personal brands, and people buy from people. So they don't want to see logos. They don't want to see, you know, lovely Canva graphics or, you know, made into video. They want to see the person. And so even when I do B-roll style reels, it's still me doing something in the background. I think it's really important for that. And I think that also links into things like, you know, your brand being recognizable, because if you look at someone's grid, you want to make sure that it is instantly recognizable, isn't it? So you've obviously got colors and things like that and fonts and whatever, but you also want to have you on there as well so that people know straight away, oh, that's a post from Sarah, you know?
Yeah, so you've got hackers and you've got, people are very suspicious at the moment around, spending money online. So at this point, people want to make sure that the person that they're going to be parting their money with is a genuine person. So having that trust built between you by building that connection is so important.
Yeah, totally. Wholeheartedly agree with you. Emma, this has been brilliant. Now, I know you've got a freebie. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how people can get hands on that?
Yes. So this freebie is just built for business owners who are looking for help with posts. So I've created 30 social media templates for you to use. It's not written all out in full for you, but it's just giving you kind of prompts of what you can do for your post. So if you're struggling thinking, I really could do with some ideas for what to actually talk about on my social media, because I don't really know where to go with it. And at the minute, I feel like I'm just talking about the services all the time. And you maybe want to introduce a bit more of a personal angle to it, where we can help you with obviously objection handling, personal content, and also your sales content, which I feel are like the core 3 pillars that you really need to focus on as your foundations. Then this will help you just to build those posts up, so you can go away and maybe spend a day or two writing through some posts with some inspiration of where to start from. So they're not written for you because obviously you need to write your own posts, but they're just prompts that will help you to get started, because I feel like there's nothing worse than staring at a blank page thinking, I don't even know what to talk about or where to start or how to even begin this post. Whereas I feel like if you've got those prompts there, it just gives you that motivation, and you've got a whole month's worth there as well. So even if you don't want to post every day, which is absolutely fine, and I would never say to anyone that you've got to post every single day, because you don't, then I would say use maybe 3 a week, 4 a week, and then you can spread it out even over 2 months then. So you've still got, more content that you can write for the following month. And that might cover you, upcoming for like December and January time, when obviously you're going to be quite busy at doing things with family, etc. So if that's helpful for you, I hope that will be helpful, and I'll pop the link obviously underneath.
Brilliant. That's great. I'll make sure everyone gets that link.
Thank you.
And do you want to tell us where everyone can connect with you? Give us your social media handles, your website, whatnot.
Yeah, sure. So I'm on Instagram. So it's Instagram at Ask Emma Social, all one word. So no underscores or anything like that. Just Ask Emma Social. And then on Facebook, again, I'm on Ask Emma Social on there. LinkedIn, you can find me by searching for Emma Donnelly, and that's Donnelly, spelt like Declan Donnelly from Ant and Dec, but we're not related. So yeah, and then not currently got a website live at the moment, but when it does go live, it'll be www.askemasocial.co.uk. We're working in progress on it at the moment, so hoping to get that live in January. So in the new year, it should be up and running.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time, Emma. It's been really lovely to have you here.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. That's it for another week. Thank you so much for joining me as we explore the abundance of strategies to help you recapture that feeling of possibility and excitement as you drive your business forwards and beyond the clinic room. If you found today's episode inspirational, then don't forget to like and subscribe to the show to stay in the loop for more valuable advice that I'm going to be sharing each week. If you want to be the first to hear about new episode releases, news and ways that I can support your business growth, then please don't forget to check out the links in the show notes, and you can also connect with me from there. Don't keep me a secret. I would be delighted if you left a review and shared this podcast with your colleagues. Until next time, bye for now.